A religious man, a polyglot, and someone who had an excellent academic life, who unfortunately passed away prematurely. Today's curiosities are about Blessed Contardo Ferrini. Here are 8 facts about him. 8. Contardo Ferrini. Born in Milan in 1859, Ferrini had an exceptional academic background, excelling in the field of Roman law, where he gained international recognition. His life, marked by an unwavering commitment to Christian values, was a clear demonstration that faith and knowledge can coexist harmoniously. From an early age, Contardo showed an interest not only in academic matters but also in spirituality. He became a member of the Third Order of St. Francis, which led him to live according to the principles of St. Francis of Assisi, always striving for a life of simplicity and service. Franciscan spirituality, which values humility and compassion, profoundly influenced his actions and way of life, allowing him to be a light to those around him. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe so you don't miss any curiosities about the saints. 7. Intellectuality and Faith. Contardo Ferrini stands out as a rare example of intellectuality that intertwines harmoniously with faith. In a historical period marked by an increasing separation between scientific reason and religious beliefs, Ferrini vigorously defended that these two aspects of human life not only could coexist but actually complemented each other in profound and meaningful ways. His academic journey was exceptional. Ferrini graduated in Roman law, becoming one of the most respected jurists of his time. He taught at several higher education institutions, including the University of Pavia, where his scholarship was widely recognized. However, his intellectual brilliance did not distance him from his religious devotion. On the contrary, his faith was a fundamental pillar that sustained his quest for knowledge. He viewed faith as an essential tool that offered a deeper understanding of the world and universal truths. Ferrini challenged the common notion that science and religion were in opposition. In his writings and lectures, he emphasized that faith could serve as a shield against the errors and confusions that often arise in academic debates. For him, true wisdom and knowledge should be informed by a spiritual pursuit, leading to a more fulfilling and integrated life. This holistic view reflected his understanding that the mind and heart must work together to achieve a more complete comprehension of reality. Believing that faith enriches the human experience, Ferrini sought to promote a perspective that encouraged scholars not only to pursue knowledge but also to reflect on its meaning and purpose in a broader context. He frequently mentioned the need for a spiritual foundation to support the ethical and moral values that guide human behavior. For him, intellectuality without an ethical base could result in a worldview devoid of compassion and humanity. Ferrini also actively engaged in social and humanitarian issues, demonstrating that his commitment to faith was not just theoretical but translated into concrete actions in support of the needy. He believed that intellectuals had a moral responsibility to use their knowledge for the common good, defending the rights of the most vulnerable and promoting social justice. 6. Academic career. Contardo Ferrini's academic career is a remarkable example of excellence and dedication in the field of law, particularly in Roman and Byzantine law. He began his educational journey in an environment that valued knowledge and scholarship, developing an early interest in justice and the law. Throughout his education, Ferrini stood out for his intellectual capacity and deep understanding of legal complexities, which led him to specialize in Roman law. Ferrini not only graduated with distinction but also achieved international recognition. He won a scholarship that allowed him to study in Berlin, where he deepened his knowledge of the most relevant legal traditions of the time. This period of study in Germany was crucial to his education, as he was exposed to new ideas and approaches, enriching his vision of law and its application. His solid and broad education provided a robust foundation for his future career as a professor and jurist. After completing his studies, Ferrini began teaching at several universities, including the prestigious University of Pavia. In his classes, he not only imparted knowledge but also challenged his students to think critically about legal issues, encouraging them to explore the ethical and social implications of the law. His teaching approach was characterized by a deep respect for tradition while encouraging innovation and critical thinking. Contardo Ferrini was recognized as one of the most influential jurists of his time. His research and publications contributed significantly to the understanding of Roman and Byzantine law, raising the standard of legal studies in Italy and beyond. He did not limit himself to a purely academic focus. His career was also marked by active involvement in conferences, debates, and publications aimed at clarifying and discussing the complexities of law. This engagement solidified his reputation as an authority on the subject. Besides his academic life, Ferrini was a fervent advocate of the idea that legal knowledge should serve the common good. He believed that law was not just a theoretical discipline but a practical tool that could be used to promote social justice and protect the rights of individuals, especially the most vulnerable. This ethical perspective permeated his career and influenced many of his students, who saw in him not just a teacher but a model to follow. Leave your prayer request in the comments below, so that Blessed Contardo Ferrini can intercede before God for you. 5. Polyglot. Contardo Ferrini not only stood out as a prominent jurist and educator but also as an extraordinary polyglot. His command of several languages, including Latin, Greek, German, Spanish, English, and French, was a significant asset in his academic and spiritual formation. This linguistic ability not only broadened his intellectual horizons but also gave him direct access to a wide range of texts and sources, especially in the context of his religious and philosophical research. The mastery of Latin and Greek was particularly relevant for Ferrini, as these languages were fundamental to understanding Christian tradition and classical texts. He used his knowledge of these languages to study the scriptures and other religious writings in their original languages. This practice allowed him a deeper appreciation and richer interpretation of the nuances present in biblical passages. Ferrini believed that reading sacred texts in their original language was essential to capturing their true meaning and spirituality. Moreover, his command of modern languages such as German, English, French, and Spanish enabled Ferrini to engage with a wide variety of intellectual currents, both in academia and religion. He read works by philosophers, theologians, and jurists in their native languages, allowing him a deeper understanding of the ideas presented. This ability to communicate and understand different cultural and intellectual traditions was one of the reasons why Ferrini was respected in international academic circles. His multilingual education also had a significant impact on his career as a professor. He not only taught in Italian but frequently referenced works in other languages, thus enriching his students' learning experience. This multilingual approach fostered an inclusive learning environment, where students were encouraged to explore texts from various cultures and eras. Ferrini's passion for languages was also reflected in his personal and spiritual life. He valued communication and understanding between different traditions and cultures, believing that this diversity enriched the human experience and contributed to a more just and compassionate world. 4. Religious life. Contardo Ferrini's religious life was an integral part of his identity, reflecting a remarkable balance between his role as a renowned academic and his deep spiritual devotion. Despite his successful career and the demands associated with academic life, Ferrini did not neglect his life of faith. On the contrary, he incorporated it meaningfully into his daily life. From an early age, Ferrini demonstrated a serious commitment to his spirituality. In 1881, he took a vow of chastity, a decision that not only underlined his religious dedication but also emphasized his pursuit of a deeper and transcendent love. This choice, which could be challenging in a society marked by a strong focus on personal relationships, it was an expression of his desire to fully dedicate himself to God and to the service of others. The vow of chastity, for Ferrini, was not merely a renunciation, but a means of opening himself up to a life of altruistic and generous love, especially towards those in need. Ferrini participated in Mass daily, which was a fundamental practice in his spiritual life. The Eucharistic celebration not only nourished his faith but also reinforced his commitment to Christian values. He saw the Mass as a sacred moment of encounter with God, which sustained him in his daily activities and inspired him to live with integrity and purpose. This daily practice reflected his constant search for a Christ-centered life, seeking strength and direction in his relationship with the sacred. In addition to Mass, Ferrini practiced various forms of mortification, which may include fasting, prayer, and other spiritual disciplines. These practices were not seen as forms of punishment, but as ways to discipline oneself and connect more deeply with his spirituality. He believed that mortifications helped strengthen his will and keep him focused on his spiritual goals, distancing him from the temptations and distractions of the world. This approach was consistent with the Franciscan tradition, which values simplicity, humility, and detachment. The union between his academic and religious life was also evident in his reflections and writings. Ferrini believed that faith and reason were not opposed, but complementary. He advocated that an intellectually enriched life should always be in dialogue with spiritual life. For him, academic knowledge was a means to deepen his understanding of divine truth, and his religious life served as a moral and ethical foundation in his professional practice. 3. Support for the poor. Contardo Ferrini distinguished himself not only for his brilliant academic career but also for his deep commitment to the poor and marginalized in society. He believed that the true practice of the Christian faith manifested itself through love and assistance to those in need. This conviction led him to actively engage in the Society of St. Vincent Delaware Paul, an organization aimed at helping those facing economic and social difficulties. Ferrini's participation in the Society of St. Vincent Delaware Paul reflected his desire to translate Franciscan spirituality into concrete actions. He saw the poor not just as a group to be assisted, but as individuals worthy of respect and care. Helping those in need was for him a way to live the message of Christ's love and compassion. By engaging in assistance activities, Ferrini not only provided material support but also sought to restore the dignity of people who were often forgotten by society. One of his main concerns was the situation of abandoned children, a topic that deeply touched him. He understood that childhood is a critical phase of life and that abandonment can have devastating consequences for a child's emotional and spiritual development. Therefore, his work on behalf of the youth was motivated by genuine love and the belief that every child deserves to have a hopeful future. Ferrini's involvement with the poor and vulnerable also manifested in his daily life. He not only made donations and engaged in charitable actions but also sought to inspire others to join the cause of social assistance. His approach was inclusive, promoting a culture of solidarity and compassion, aiming to raise awareness among people about the importance of looking beyond themselves and addressing the needs of those around them. Ferrini's advocacy for the poor was closely tied to his intellectual formation. He believed that knowledge and education should be tools for empowerment, not merely instruments of social status. Therefore, he not only sought to assist the needy financially but also encouraged education and awareness as means of liberation and social transformation. 2. Premature death. The premature death of Contardo Ferrini at the age of 43 was a tragic event that left a profound impact on his contemporaries and the community he loved so much. Ferrini contracted typhoid fever during a trip to the mountains, a retreat he sought to rest and reconnect with nature. This connection to the natural environment was an important part of his life, as he believed that contemplating the beauty of God's creation nourished his spirituality and renewed his strength. His death occurred at a time when he was in full intellectual and spiritual vigor, dedicating himself to his studies and assisting the most needy. The loss of such a promising individual committed to social and spiritual causes generated great emotion among his students, friends, and colleagues, who saw him not only as a renowned academic but also as an example of faith and integrity. The fact that Ferrini died while seeking a well-deserved rest also adds a layer of irony to his story. He always emphasized the importance of balancing intellectual life and spirituality, and this trip aimed to rejuvenate his spirit. However, fate brought him an unexpected end, interrupting his mission of uniting knowledge and faith for the benefit of others. 1. Beatification. The beatification of Contardo Ferrini in 1947 was a significant milestone not only in his spiritual life but also in recognizing his lasting impact on academia and society. The ceremony, conducted by Pope Pius XII, validated the testimony of faith and dedication that Ferrini demonstrated throughout his life, highlighting his ability to unite intellectual knowledge with profound spirituality. One of the most notable aspects of his beatification is the fact that Ferrini was proclaimed the patron of the São Paulo Faculty of Law at the Pontifical Catholic University. This designation is a testament to the relevance of his work in the field of law, as well as to his life dedicated to social justice and service to the most needy. By becoming the patron of the faculty, Ferrini not only became a symbol of academic excellence but also an example of how ethics and morality can guide the practice of law for the benefit of society. Ferrini's memory is celebrated annually on October 17, the date of his death, when educational institutions, churches, and Franciscan fraternities come together to honor his life and legacy. And we have reached the end of another story full of curiosities. Don't forget to leave in the comments the curiosities about which saint you would like to see here on the channel. Until the next story.